Hello again, fellow YouTubers! Parrot Dragon back for another deck review, I guess. Now, as you are aware, we are on the horizon of our 50th episode. Or, I shouldn't say episode, our 50th video upload. We're on the horizon of that, and I'm here to make it 49. You could say this is filler, but I think Vanguard is very important. I am, after all, Parrot Dragon. Rawr. So, and the Let's Plays are finished and whatnot, so might as well. So, as you are aware, last time I did a Grand Blue deck review, and again, the first deck I ever built will probably be shown later when it's complete and everything. I'm just showing you the decks that are complete. As you can see, this is one of them, and I've got one more that's probably complete, and then I have to wait a little bit, and you'll probably have to wait a little bit before I can complete the other three. One of them being my original, which you'll see what it is when I show it to you. But enough chit-chat, this is getting way too boring. Let's start. So, second deck we're going to be reviewing is Megacolony. And I know what you're thinking, oh, what? Megacolony? They suck. I don't understand why people think they suck. I find them to be very interesting, actually. And let me just explain Megacolonies. Megacolonies focus on making sure that your rearguards stay rested and they gain power from it, and just rest rearguards so that you have less attacks in. So, say you attack like 3 times and everything's rested, and now I attack for extra power and I can like counterblast and some stuff and rest some things, which means they don't come as standing position. And again, all this technicality is in the description below of, if you want to find out, Vanguard Wicca, whatnot. So Megacolonies basically rest things, which is pretty unique, I think. Not much other clans really do that, or focus on anything like that. And I'm just going to say this right now, all Megacolonies are insect. Every single one of them is an insect. There is no other thing, so I'm just getting that out of the way. They're all insects. Let's get started. This is my deck that I use in tournaments. Again, all these decks that are being reviewed have been used in tournaments before. Some successful, some haven't been tried yet. Whatnot. This thing has, and every now and it's worked so far. So for my starter, I have this right here, Megacolony Battler C. And I use this starter because there isn't really another starter that you can use. You got Machining Worker Ant, which I don't run machining, so that's somebody else's department. So I can't really use him. And then there's the 6 bland do nothing thing, whatever. So Megacolony Battler C is really the only option for any other Megacolony deck besides Machinings. And here's what it does. When Megacolony rides this unit, call it to rearguard. Classic starter thing. And on rearguard, you may counterblast 1 and put this into the soul. And when an attack hits a Vanguard during the battle that this unit boosted, so say this is boosting like Megacolony Vanguard or Megacolony Rearguard, if that attack hits, counterblast 1, put this into soul, choose an opponent's rearguard, and it doesn't stand next turn. So the unit has to be resting in order for it to be considered not standing next turn. If it's already, like, say I want something to rest that's already standing, that doesn't really work like that. It has to be resting. And again, this is really the only starter that Megacolonies use other than the Machining Worker Ant. And I'm just going to get Machinings out of the way right now. Machinings are okay. So I've only played one guy with him. He knows who he is. And it's an okay deck. It works pretty well. I prefer the traditional Megacolony. Also, I don't want to steal Machinings from anyone. You can look at that. And that. Oops. So, there's that. Start a trigger lineup, shall we? Yep. I run 3 Raider Mantises. Now, you're probably thinking, what? Only 3? Shouldn't you want to run like 4? I only run 3 because it'll be explained later, but Raider Mantis is a draw trigger. And I want to keep some draw power in there just because I might need some draw power later. And also I don't want to overdo it with criticals and whatnot, otherwise I'm might. And also, these are... Draw Trigger is actually an okay card to have, because Megacolonies really just focus on resting things. They don't really have any sort of hand or unit advantage, so you need to probably have a big hand there. You probably want a big hand, because, you know, Megacolonies can die pretty easily. Again, they're only focused around resting things, so they don't really have any other focus. So I want to just have a big hand, just in case someone hits me for a large attack. So there's that. Next we have 3 stand triggers. So as you can see, I took out 1 draw trigger and 1 stand trigger for what comes next, but again, 3 stand triggers because I just want some drawing and I want some standing power too. Sonic Cicada. And these triggers are actually really nice. I like what they did with these triggers. And it's useful. They're useful to have because every now and then it's just like, oh, I can stand something. But deck mainly focuses around this. I run 2 Shelter Beetles because I only have 2 and I think that's all I'd want to use. Shelter Beetle, again, nothing special. None of these triggers really do anything. They're just triggers. Let that focus. And that's actually pretty cool. Again, I like these triggers. They're really nice. And then I run... I think it's 4... Yep. 4 Sharpnail Scorpios. So, all in all, 6 crits, 3 stands, and 3 draws, and you can take a look at that. And again, the triggers were really nice. So, when Megacolony was first released, they just had like a couple of units. There was enough to build a deck, but there were no triggers around it, so that kind of sucked. And then I think it was... Oh, God, I hope I get this right. I think it was... Yeah, that's what it was. Eclipse of Illusionary Shadows. That's when all the triggers come out. So, they did a really nice job with these triggers. I really like them. They're nice art. And then, of course, we got 4 heal. Because, again, there's heals in the deck that you kind of need. So, I'm just going to show you. It's Medical Battler Ranfeel, I think it is. Again, all of these have 500 attack. They're nothing special. They're just triggers, really. So, just to recap, 4 heal triggers, 6 6 crit triggers, sorry, 3 stands, and 3 draws. So, I think it's pretty balanced enough. There's a little bit of extra power in there, but still some draw and standing effect. Let's move on to our grade 1s. I run 4 Stealth Millipedes. And here's why. One reason is because they don't have many other grade 1s that I found useful, so... Well, I can't say that, but I'll explain when it gets farther in there. And also, Stealth Millipede is actually pretty good once I get him on a rear guard. His skill is this. On rear guard, when he boosts a Megacolony Vanguard, if all your opponent's rear guards are resting, the boosted gets +4 until the end of the battle. So automatically this becomes a 10k swinger by itself when boosting. So mix that with any of my grade 3s, you could get it from anywhere from 20 to 22. You could get that pretty high, actually. Again, Stealth Millipede is actually pretty good. He's the special, do something special and you get a +4 when boosting Vanguard. Very typical in almost every clan. Pretty simple. Really nice, too. Again, the artwork for Megacolonies I found really nice, actually, and I'm not sure why people don't like these guys. Maybe it's because they just find them annoying, which would make sense. Next, 4 Megacolony Battler Bs. No, that's not a ride chain for Megacolony Battler C, because Megacolony Battler A is also a 0, which you can't really use him as a starter. He's more of a guarder, if anything. And again, I use them because I don't see anything else that I can really use that would be useful for boosting. And their skill is on rear guard. Counterblast 1 when this unit attack hits during the battle, and this boosted a Megacolony Vanguard. If the attack hits, you may choose one of your opponent's rear guards, and it cannot stand during the next turn. So basically, if I'm boosting like grade 2 or grade 3, and the attack hits, I can Counterblast 1 and say, hey, that one doesn't stand next turn. I sometimes use this. It's kind of costly, because again, it's a Counterblast, and when I show you the main thing I use Counterblast for in this deck, you'll kind of see why this is kind of costly after a little bit. Can't use it too often, like once or twice maybe. But this does kind of psych people out. Because it's like, oh, I better guard this, because otherwise I might have a unit resting. Because yeah, when Megacolonies rest your units, that can get a little annoying after a while. 1 Paralyzed Madonna. I explained in my Grand Blue review why I only use 1 perfect guard in each deck, so I already made that perfectly clear. And most of that was commons. Battler B was a rare. This is a double rare. This is the perfect guard. And to be honest, Megacolonies is actually one of the few decks that says, hey, you can kind of be lenient with perfect guards, but again, I only use 1 each. Perfect guards are place them on guard circle, drop a card from your hand, and the attack is nullified. So, Paralyzed Madonna, right there. Pretty cool. Pretty cool perfect guard. And finally, for my grade 1 lineup, I think, yep. 4 Phantom Blacks. So, except for, yeah, like I said, except for my Grand Blue deck, every other deck has the 8K beater. And for most decks, it's required to have the 8K beater, except for my Grand Blue deck. So, Phantom Black, not much there, but a pretty good 8K beater. And this is actually really hard to find on, like, cool stuff. When I was trying to get him, he was really hard to find, actually, because not a lot of people had him. So you can look at that. And again, all of these things are insects. Let's move on to grade 2s, which are pretty organized, I think. Pretty simple and straightforward. We got 4 Iron Fist Mutant Roly-Polies. Now, if I was using Machinings, he would not be in here, but again, there aren't many other grade 2s that I found very useful. So there's this guy. Oh, and I just remembered, you can use the Ride Chain from Megacolony, but to be honest, Giraffa, Evil Armor General Giraffa, isn't that good. The grade 2 is good, the grade 3, not so much. Off topic. Iron Fist Mutant Roly-Poly. And he's the special interceptor that says, when I intercept, I gain +5 in shield, so now I'm a 10 for intercepting. Which is actually really useful during, like, stage 2 of the game, when your opponent only has, like, a grade 2 or grade 1. You can still use him for an attack, and then later he's just used to kind of throw him out there as a suicide bomber almost. He's just there to die after a while, but he's still pretty good, and does help when intercepting, when you have nothing else in your hand to use. So there's that. Next, we got 4 Tail Joes. Tail Joe is really good. He's another one of those grade 2s that says, do something special, I'm now an 11K. And his is actually one of the easiest ones to pull off. When your opponent's Vanguard and Rear Guards are resting, gain +3. This is continuous. So, as long as everyone is resting, which if people are like hitting you really hard, that's really good. And he's okay to have on Rear Guard even when you have a grade 3 Vanguard. He's still really good. Because everyone's going to be hitting, so he's going to be hitting later as well. Now, originally he was supposed to be Tail Jaw, and I don't understand why they changed it to Joe. That doesn't make much sense. Tail Jaw sounds way cooler, but still really good. And he's a really good grade 2 to have, actually. If you want to run Megacolonies, definitely use him. Because without him, you're kind of at a disadvantage. I guess you can say that. Again, most of this is opinionated. Blech. And finally, for grade 2s, the rare 10K beatstick, Bloody Hercules. And actually, I've noticed all, like, 10K beatsticks are usually, like, rares. Seems to be the case. Except for Lazarus. he wasn't a rare for some reason. Yeah, rares that just... Yeah, 10Ks that don't appear in trial decks are usually, like, rares for some reason. So not much to say here. Blade Hercules is the 10K beat stick. Pretty simple. Pretty straightforward. Pretty cool, actually. On to grade 3s. We're almost done here. 2 Hell Spiders. And you're probably saying, well, why do you run Hell Spider? Isn't there some better stuff? I like some diversity, and he was a good... And I thought he was good to use. And actually, he's got a little bit more power than you'd think. Because, yeah, generally he isn't on Vanguard. He's either on Rearguard or just not there. But when placed, either, you can Counterblast 2 and rest a unit. Well, that's not really good. Yeah, he's also got this other thing. If he's on Vanguard, and all your units are resting, he gains +3. So he actually can become one of the stronger cards in this deck, whereas some of my other cards can only go to 20 when boosted by Stealth Millipede, can only go to 21 or 22. He goes to 23. So there's that. And yeah, he looks like a Predator from Predator or whatnot. He kind of looks like that. Hell Spider is pretty good to use, actually. Also a rare. Next, and I'm just gonna say this right now, there are no triple rares in this deck. I just realized this. This is probably this was the easiest deck to build. This was the cheapest. Next, 2 Bewitching Officer Lady Butterflies. Again, because I like some diversity, otherwise I'd probably use 4 of her. But again, I like some diversity. And her skill is on Vanguard or Rearguard. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, you get +2 if you have a Megacolony Vanguard. Since this is a deck full of Megacolonies, that's pretty straightforward. So this becomes a 12 instantly when attacking a Vanguard. And usually that's what you want to do with her. You usually want to attack a Vanguard. Again, pretty straightforward. Another really nice card, another rare. And now let's get on to the big star of this deck. Here's the big star. 4 Martial Arts Mutant Master Beetle. And I run 4 because he's the best card in this deck. Again, also double rare. No triple rares. He is the limit breaker in this deck. And what you do, limit break 4, you can counterblast 3, and when this unit attacks, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose 2 of your opponent's rear guards, and they don't stand next turn. So basically, he's swinging in for 21. With his limit break, he counterblasts 3, which is kind of costly, so that's why I don't use the Battler B counterblast, because I need 4 damage, and I need 3 of that 4 damage just so I can pull this thing off. But he says, hey, 2 of your rear guards don't stand next turn. So I could rest 2 back rows, 2 front rows, I could rest both grade 3s, and since if they're like 2, I could rest like 2 in the front row, so say they're grade 3s, they're just staying there totally useless, and they need to either get, and my opponent either needs to get rid of them or do something with that. So yeah, Blade Hercules is... Blade Hercules, what am I thinking? Martial Arts is awesome. Main star of the deck, really cool. All insect deck, Megacolonies are awesome. And I call this deck the Web of Doom. And I don't have like a specific coordinated attack for these guys. Just anything goes here. But I still call it Web of Doom just because it's cool. So I think I can just let you look at that. And this was the easiest deck to build. This was, out of all the decks I've built and still building, this one by far was the easiest because I could just like buy everything instantly. I needed to like trade for 1 martial arts, I think, and I think I need to trade for like Phantom Blacks and whatnot, but everything else I just bought online on cool stuff, and it was really easy. Really simple, straightforward, because Megacolonies are like really cheap. They're really cheap to get. So if you want to build a deck straight up, I don't want to trade stuff, I just want to build it, Megacolonies are probably the way to go because they are the cheapest. Out of all the decks I've seen, they are pretty much the cheapest. So, might as well just back everything up here, I guess. Don't want to put the camera down or anything. And while I'm at it, might as well tell you that the next video that's being uploaded is the 50th video special. Solomon's going to have a fun time with that, I can already tell you. And for those of you who are going, oh my god, this guy is crazy, he has personality disorder or something, don't worry. It's all a joke. Everything's fine. No one's crazy here. Well, my dog is, but irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. And the 50th video special is going to be fun. You guys are going to definitely enjoy that. It's not going to be entirely long, but I think it's going to be a good amount of time. And apologize if this was not as good as the Grand Blue deck review. I just felt like doing this because I needed to do all these decks. And I guess might as well end by just showing you this guy again. So that was Megacolony. This is Paradragon signing off. See you next time. And I believe, I'm not sure what our next deck review is going to be, but I have a pretty good idea of what it is. Not gonna tell you it though. What have we got? 21 minutes? Awesome. This is Paradragon signing off.